Welcome back to the deep dive. We are doing something a little different today.
hmm
Usually we're looking at hard data, maybe tech trends or, a massive historical event. But today,
Today we're looking at social data.
exactly. Specifically, we are unpacking a source text that serves as just this brutal case study in small town sociology, the psychology of bullying, and the economics of revenge.
Yeah.
We are looking at Ain't She Sweet by Susan Elizabeth Phillips.
And it is a fascinating choice because, on the surface, this looks like a standard contemporary novel.
Right.
But when you actually peel back the layers, which is exactly what we're here to do, it's a Southern Gothic nightmare wrapped in a redemption arc.
I love that description, a Southern Gothic nightmare.
It really is. It's about class warfare, it's about memory, and it's about the absolute toxicity of high school hierarchies when they refuse to die.
Exactly. The mission today is to figure out what happens when the mean girl, and I don't mean just like a little bit catty.
No, this is next
Figure-
level.
I mean a full-blown tyrant in a cheerleader uniform loses everything and has to crawl back to the very people she destroyed. We are talking about the fallen princess narrative.
It's a trope we love to hate, or maybe hate to love. And usually in literature, you see the princess fall, and then, she gets rescued by a prince or something.
Right, there's a safety net.
Here, she falls, she hits the ground hard, and then the whole town gathers around to kick her while she's down.
And the question we have to ask, and the book asks, is, does she deserve it?
A really complicated question.
So let's set the scene. We are in Parrish, Mississippi, and the setting is, it's absolutely crucial here, right? This isn't just a backdrop.
Oh, absolutely not. It's a character in its own right.
Hmm.
The source material really paints Parrish as a place that's completely defined by its own mythology.
Its own story of itself.
Exactly. There's this local legend that the town wasn't burned by the Union Army during the Civil War. And the reason it was spared, the women used their wiles to charm the soldiers. So right off the bat, you have this cultural DNA where charm, manipulation, and beauty are literally survival skills.
It's weaponized femininity.
It's baked into the soil of the town.
And for a long time, Parrish was kind of stagnant, a bit of a backwater. But when our story opens, it's been completely transformed.
It's been Disney-fied, as you said in the outline.
Yeah, that's the perfect word for it. It's got the quaint lampposts, the matching maroon and green awnings everywhere. It's a tourist trap now.
And that transformation is largely thanks to a nonfiction book written about the town. It's called Last Whistle Stop on the Nowhere Line.
A book which becomes a huge plot point later on.
But the atmosphere is this strange mix. You have the old Southern money, represented by these big crumbling mansions like Frenchman's Bride.
And then you have this new commercialized gloss right on top of it.
Exactly. It's a town trying to sell a very specific, very clean version of itself to the world. And into this picture-perfect setting returns the one person who knows where all the ugly skeletons are buried.
Let's talk about her. Sugar Beth Carey.
Even the name.
The name just screams Southern Belle, doesn't it?
It really does.
So 15 years ago, she wasn't just popular, she was the princess of Parrish. Her father, Griffin Carey, owned the Carey Window Factory, the CWF, the main industry in town.
So he was the king?
He was the king. Her mother, Diddy, was the social queen bee. And Sugar Beth was, well, the source describes her as beautiful, wealthy, cruel, and absolutely untouchable.
She was the apex predator of Parrish High. And
Yeah.
you really need to understand the psychology there. I mean, when you have that kind of absolute power at 17, it warps you.
It has to.
And it warps the people around you. It creates this vacuum of resentment. People don't just dislike her.
No, it's super.
They have been nursing these grudges for 15 years. It's a long time to hate someone.
But the Sugar Beth we meet in Chapter 1, she is a complete wreck.
A shadow of her former self.
The text describes her driving this battered old Volvo that is essentially held together by rust and prayer. She's wearing designer clothes, yeah, but you can tell they're from a discount bin. They're frayed, and she has a hole in her boot.
That detail about the hole in the boot is so important. It's the physical manifestation of her fall from grace.
It's so visceral.
She's not just cash poor, she is destitute. She's eating stale, crispy cremes and drinking a warm Coke from her car because that's all she has.
That's her dinner.
And she's been widowed 3 times. Her entire life path since leaving Parrish has been just a complete nosedive.
We really need to unpack the husbands because this isn't just, a string of bad luck. This is a pattern of behavior that tells us so much about her search for an identity outside of being the princess.
Okay, so husband number 1, Darren Thorpe.
The baseball player. Played for the Braves.
Right. He was the trophy husband for the trophy wife. It was a completely superficial match. On paper, it was perfect.
The fantasy continued. She left Parrish and married the star athlete.
But he cheated on her. And that shattered her ego. It was the first real crack in that porcelain doll exterior. The first time she wasn't in control.
So then she pivots. Hard. Husband number 2. Cy Zagorski.
A stuntman.
A stuntman.
A stuntman who wanted to be a country songwriter. The text is very clear that he was terrible at it.
He was a bad songwriter.
But look at that shift in psychology. She goes from the established, safe, all-American athlete to this reckless wild card.
Someone dangerous.
Someone who lived on the edge. And Cy died in, well, a blaze of glory or maybe just stupidity, trying to jump a motorcycle from the Santa Monica Pier onto a luxury yacht.
It's so chaotic. It shows she was attracted to danger. Or maybe she just felt she deserved the chaos by that point.
Yeah, like she was punishing herself.
Yeah.
And then, the biggest pivot of all, husband number 3, Emmett Hooper.
The oil man.
The 70-year-old oil man. She was young, beautiful. He was ancient and rich. Or so everyone thought.
And everyone in Parrish, of course, assumed she was a gold digger.
Of course. They called her a trophy wife, just waiting for the payout. It looked like she'd have finally sold out completely, trading everything for financial security.
But the great irony, which the town doesn't know yet, is that Emmett lost it all.
He was a wildcatter. He took big risks, and they finally caught up with him. He busted. So when he died, he left her with precisely $0.
Actually, less than 0. He left her with liabilities, and he left her with Gordon.
Gordon. We have to take a moment for Gordon the dog.
I love the inclusion of Gordon in this source text. He's a basset hound. But the author gives him a personality disorder.
Yeah, that's the quote, a personality disorder. He seems to actively hate Sugar Beth.
He does.
He's a literary mirror. He's her conscience, but in dog form. Gordon sneers at her. He won't run away, but he won't be affectionate either. He just sits there and judges her with those sad, drooping eyes.
He represents her own self-loathing.
Totally. She's stuck with this creature that views her with utter contempt, which is exactly how she views herself deep down. She is literally dragging this heavy, judgmental beast everywhere she goes.
So broke, thrice widowed, and judged by her own dog, she comes back to Parrish. The question is why? Why on earth would you return to the scene of the crime?
Pure survival. She has an inheritance from her Aunt Tallulah.
Okay, so let's talk about Tallulah.
Tallulah was the sister of Sugar Beth's father, Griffin. She was the town eccentric, the local historian. She knew all the family secrets. She had a very, very complicated relationship with Sugar Beth.
But Tallulah didn't just leave her cash. That would have been too easy.
No. Tallulah was all about teaching lessons, even from the grave. She left her real estate.
And real estate is being extremely generous here.
Right. She left her the old carriage house behind Sugar Beth's childhood home. It's described as damp, peeling, smelling of mildew, basically uninhabitable.
And she also left her the old train depot downtown.
Which is a complete ruin. It's full of dead birds and guano. It's a public health hazard.
It's a liability inheritance. You have to pay taxes on this stuff, but you can't live in it. You can't sell it. It's a burden.
There's a carrot dangling at the end of this very long, very dirty stick.
A very expensive carrot.
The Lincoln Ash painting. Now, Lincoln Ash is a fictionalized version of a major abstract expressionist painter. You could tell, like a Jackson Pollock or a de Kooning.
A big deal.
A huge deal. And he supposedly lived in that very carriage house back in the 1950s. Tallulah claims in her will that she has a painting of his from that time.
If that's true, it's worth millions. It's Sugar Beth's lottery ticket. Her exit strategy.
But she has to find it. Tallulah didn't just hand it over.
No, she hid it.
She hid it somewhere on the properties. It's a treasure hunt designed by a dead woman who clearly thought Sugar Beth needed one last lesson in humility and hard work.
So she's back in town, literally digging through filth, hunting for a painting, and living in this damp, horrible carriage house. But she's not alone on the property, and this is where the narrative structure really starts to shine.
The primary conflict is geographic. She is living in the backyard of her old life.
And who lives in the big house? Who lives in Frenchman's Bride, the mansion where Sugar Beth grew up as the town princess?
It is none other than Colin Byrne.
This is just perfect.
But it's a perfect setup. Let's profile Colin Byrne. Because if Sugar Beth is the fallen princess, Colin is the peasant who stormed the castle and became the king.
So 15 years ago, Colin was a teacher at Parrish High.
A British teacher, which already made him an outsider, and he was only 22 years old, barely older than the students he was teaching.
The source describes him as skinny, awkward, and he wore capes.
Actual capes.
Yeah.
And scarves. He was an intellectual, a bit pompous maybe, but mostly just out of place. The kids called him Ichabod Crane or the Duke of Doom.
And Sugar Beth. She ate him alive. She mocked him relentlessly. She completely ruined his control of the classroom. But it went so much further than just high school mockery.
Oh yeah, she destroyed his career. We'll get to that.
But the Colin Byrne she meets now, he is unrecognizable.
A total transformation. He's not the skinny, awkward teacher anymore. He is wealthy, he's muscular, he drives a Lexus, and he wears Armani and Hugo Boss.
And how did he get all this money?
He's the author of that book we mentioned earlier, Last Whistle Stop on the Nowhere Line.
The irony is just delicious. The town that humiliated him and kicked him out is now revitalized and thriving because of the tourists his book brings in.
They have their cute little awnings and their quaint lampposts, all thanks to the guy they ran out on a rail.
He holds all the power now.
And physically, the transformation is total. He bought her house and stripped it of her mother's influence. No more floral prints, no more pastels.
It's all dark wood, modern lines, very masculine energy.
He has systematically erased the Careys from their own legacy. He is literally living in her history, but he's rewritten it in his own image.
And he is not happy to see her.
Understatement of the year.
The very first interaction they have is just, it's so petty, but in this really high-stakes way. Sugar Beth comes home to her carriage house to find a chain across her driveway.
It's a territorial display, pure alpha male posturing. Colin has had fresh concrete poured and new posts set up just to block her access to the carriage house.
His claim is that the driveway belongs to the main house, to Frenchman's bride, and not to the carriage house she inherited.
Which, as it turns out, is technically true according to the deeds. But the intent is clear. He's forcing her to park on the street and walk through the mud. He's saying, I control your access, I control your movement, you are here on my terms.
It's interesting because Colin claims he doesn't care about her. He says he's just amused by the situation.
But his actions scream obsession. He is deeply, deeply invested in her humiliation. He has a quote where he says his resentment has been fermenting like a great French wine.
So she marches up to the big house to confront him. And this interaction, the tension is just palpable. She actually tries to apologize.
She does. She says something like, I'm sorry, repentance is repentance. She's trying to be an adult about it.
And Colin just shuts her down completely. He says, sometimes the best isn't good enough.
And that line tells you, the listener, that this isn't going to be a quick forgive and forget story. He wants blood.
And now we find out the specific nature of her crime against him.
This is the core of their conflict. It wasn't just bullying. She told a lie. A catastrophic lie.
She went home and told her mother, the powerful Diddy Carey, that Colin had touched her inappropriately.
And she was specific. She claimed he put his tongue in her mouth and touched her breast.
You have to pause on the gravity of that. In a small southern town, or really anywhere, an accusation like that from a student against a teacher is a career death sentence.
It's nuclear. And her mother, Diddy, used all of her social capital to absolutely destroy him. He was fired, he was blacklisted, he had to leave the country in disgrace.
So when Sugar Beth walks back into that house, 15 years later, Colin decides to exact a very specific kind of revenge.
He decides to reenact the crime she invented.
This scene is so intense. He grabs her and he kisses her. But we have to be very, very clear, this is not romantic.
No, it is an assault. It's a calculated act of humiliation. He forces his tongue into her mouth and deliberately puts his hand on her breast. He even asks her, isn't this the lie you told?
He is physically dominating her to prove that she is powerless now. He wants to show her that she's no longer the untouchable princess, but just a child he can crush.
He expects her to scream, to fight, to cry, to play the victim so he can feel justified in his rage.
But her reaction is what shifts the entire dynamic of the story.
It changes everything. She doesn't scream, she doesn't fight back, she just stands there and takes it.
And when he finally pulls away, she looks at him and says, "You've cleansed my soul."
That line gives me chills every time. You've cleansed my soul.
It completely recontextualizes the entire event.
Yeah.
She views his assault as a form of penance. She believes she deserves it for what she did to him.
And that just throws him completely off balance. He wanted to punish a brat. Instead, he's faced with a martyr.
He can't. He can't just view her as a simple monster anymore because she's acknowledging her sin in this profound way he never expected. The power dynamic shifts instantly.
He becomes a psychological stalemate. He's confused by her, and she's resigned to her fate. But Colin isn't the only ghost from her past she has to deal with.
Not by a long shot. We have to pivot to the other side of this equation. We have to talk about Winnie Davis.
Winnie Davis is the emotional core of the backstory. She is Sugar Beth's half-sister.
And the family dynamic here is just classic Southern Gothic dysfunction.
Textbook. Griffin Carey, the father, the king of the town, had a legitimate family with his wife Diddy and their daughter Sugar Beth, and he had a secret illegitimate family with Winnie and her mother.
And back in high school, Winnie was the geek. She was overweight, she stuttered, she was clumsy, and she was utterly terrified of Sugar Beth.
But here's the twist that explains so much. Griffin Carey, their shared father, clearly loved Winnie more.
That is the absolute tragedy of it all. There's a scene where Sugar Beth remembers finding her father on the patio, patiently reading to Winnie.
And he never did that for her.
He never read to Sugar Beth. The source says he was cold and distant to his princess, but warm and loving to his secret daughter, the mistake.
That creates a vacuum of jealousy that explains, though it certainly doesn't excuse, Sugar Beth's later cruelty.
She wasn't just being mean for sport. She's trying to destroy the person who she felt had stolen her father's love. She was acting out the pain of his neglect.
And this brings us to the prank, the incident that really defines why the entire town hates her so much. We have to do a deep dive into the locker room incident.
This is really hard to read. It's just so cruel.
It starts in the gym. Sugar Beth finds Winnie's private notebook. And in it, Winnie had written this erotica, fan fiction basically, about herself and Ryan Galantine.
And Ryan Galantine was the golden boy of Parish High, the star quarterback. And most importantly, he was Sugar Beth's boyfriend, the Ken to her Barbie.
Exactly. So Sugar Beth takes his private notebook and reads Winnie's fantasies aloud to the entire gym class. She humiliates her publicly.
But she doesn't stop there. It gets worse.
So much worse. Later, after a school event, Winnie is in the locker room taking a shower. Sugar Beth and the boys, including Ryan's, sneak in.
Sugar Beth steals Winnie's clothes. She hides all the towels. So Winnie is forced to stand there, naked, wet, and terrified, in front of the very boy she has a crush on.
And there's a detail in the source that makes it even more sadistic. Winnie was on her period. A tampon string was visible.
It was absolute systematic destruction of a human being's dignity. It wasn't a prank. It was psychological warfare.
And when you read that, you understand why the town hates her. It's not just, oh, she was a mean girl. She was monstrous.
And Colin, the young British teacher, walked in on this. He was the one who gave Winnie his shirt to cover up with. That was the moment he turned on Sugar Beth. He tried to punish her for it.
And that's when she told the lie to get him fired. It's all connected. The locker room incident is the dark heart of this whole story.
So let's fast forward to today. Winnie has completely transformed her life.
She lost the weight. She had a full makeover. She's now the perfect, elegant matron of Parish.
She runs a high-end antique shop called Yesterday's Treasures, and she is married to Ryan Galantine.
She has Sugar Beth's life. She has literally taken everything Sugar Beth threw away. She even wears Diddy Carey's pearls, Sugar Beth's mother's pearls.
But the question is she happy?
That's the catch, isn't it? The source material strongly suggests she is terrified. She has extreme imposter syndrome. She feels like she's just playing a role, the role of the perfect wife and mother.
And she's convinced that Ryan is still in love with Sugar Beth, or at least the memory of her.
She's constantly touching those pearls like a talisman, like she's trying to reassure herself that she belongs there. And Ryan, he's the COO of the window factory now. He's successful, but he seems tired.
He works late. He has insomnia. There's a sense that he did the right thing by marrying Winnie after Sugar Beth left town, but the passion just might not be there. It feels like a marriage built on shoulds rather than wants.
So Sugar Beth's return threatens to blow up this very fragile piece they've built.
But Sugar Beth has more immediate problems than breaking up marriages. She is literally starving. She needs a job.
And nobody will hire her. She goes to the local bakery. The insurance agency doors are slammed in her face. She is radioactive. The town has a very long memory. And frankly, they are enjoying her suffering.
And this is where Colin Byrne steps in again. He sees another opportunity for what he calls retribution.
He offers her a job.
As his housekeeper.
It's almost Dickensian, isn't it? The princess will now be cleaning the floors of her own palace.
And the terms are humiliating. He sets the salary incredibly low, just enough to keep her alive, but not enough for her to save money or escape.
He demands she use the back door. He even threatens to make her wear a French maid's uniform.
He's trying to break her. He thinks her pride won't let her accept it. He wants to see her crawl.
But she doesn't have any pride left. She says, I'll take it. because
Oh.
she has absolutely no other choice.
And thus begins the domestic warfare phase of the story. This is where the tone shifts a little bit. It gets funnier, but the undercurrent is still this bitter class struggle.
It's malicious compliance at its absolute finest. Colin is a health nut, a total foodie. He wants organic grilled tomatoes, tofu, perfectly poached eggs. He's very New South meets British intellectual.
And Sugar Beth. She gives him oatmeal with a mountain of brown sugar on top.
She buys Twinkies and cherry Twizzlers and leaves them around the house just to annoy him. She refuses to learn how to cook properly.
She mocks his intellectualism, too. She finds a research book on his desk called The Erotic Life of a Victorian Gentleman.
Which she immediately dubs as pervy book.
Right. But all this banter, this constant friction, it creates a strange kind of intimacy.
It has to. They're living in the same house. He starts walking around shirtless. She starts wearing tight, low-cut tops to deliberately unnerve him.
It's undeniable sexual tension masquerading as hatred. He wants to humiliate her, but he's also finding himself attracted to her resilience.
He expects her to cry, but instead she's sassy. She gives as good as she gets. She fights back with the only weapons she has left, her wit and her sexuality.
And that's the key. Colin, deep down, respects strength. He hated her when he thought she was just a spoiled brat who used her power to hurt people.
But seeing her scrub floors with a hole in her shoe and still manage to crack a joke, he can't help but admire it. He hates himself for it, but he does.
But while they are doing this strange dance of dominance and attraction, we have to look at the next generation, because history is repeating itself.
Let's talk about Gigi Galantine.
Gigi is 13 years old. She is Ryan and Winnie's daughter, and she is a complete mess.
She is the anti-Winnie. Winnie is trying so hard to be perfect and polished and accepted.
And Gigi dresses in baggy, thrift-store clothes. She's sullen. She's rebellious. She refers to Sugar Beth as she who must not be named.
But then she does something that echoes the past in a really chilling way. She pushes her best friend Chelsea into a locker.
A locker. The symbolism is not subtle at all.
Chelsea breaks her wrist. It's a serious incident. Gigi gets suspended from school, and her parents, the perfect Winnie and Ryan, are horrified.
They just don't understand her. They see themselves as good people. How did they produce this bad seed?
So they punish her. They ground her. They take away her privileges. They isolate her. And Gigi feels completely alone and misunderstood. So who does she turn to for help?
The original villain, the town pariah.
She sneaks out of her house at night, climbs over to her balcony, and goes straight to the carriage house. She knocks on Sugar Beth's door.
And this scene is just heartbreaking. She basically tells Sugar Beth, I want to be like you. Teach me how to be powerful. Teach me how to be mean so people won't mess with me anymore.
She views Sugar Beth's past cruelty as a form of armor, a shield. She thinks if she becomes a bully, she won't feel so insecure and powerless.
And this is the moment where Sugar Beth could have become the villain everyone thinks she is. She could have corrupted Gigi. She could have used her to get back at Winnie.
Oh, you stole my life. I'll steal your daughter. It would have been the ultimate revenge.
But she doesn't do that.
She doesn't. She invites her in. She gives her devil dogs and Coke, all the bad junk food that Winnie would never allow in her perfect house. And she just listens.
She sees the resemblance to her own father, Griffin Carey, in Gigi's face. She realizes Gigi is acting out for the exact same reason she did all those years ago. A desperate, aching need for attention and a sense of identity.
Sugar Beth becomes this unlikely mentor. She doesn't teach Gigi how to be mean. She just offers her a safe space to be herself. She validates her feelings in a way her own parents can't because they're too busy maintaining their perfect image.
It's the first real act of kindness we see from her.
And it is so crucial for the listener to understand this. Sugar Beth is breaking the cycle. She was the victim of terrible parenting and it made her a monster. But now she is choosing to be a good parental figure to Gigi. That is redemption in action.
The irony is just beautiful. The bad seed is the only one who can actually reach the rebellious teenager. Gigi starts calling her aunt.
Yeah, she acknowledges the family tie that everyone else in town tries so hard to ignore.
So all of this is happening, this new relationship is forming, but meanwhile, the pressure is mounting on the treasure hunt.
Sugar Beth is still desperately searching everywhere for this Lincoln Ash painting.
She's scouring the train depot, which is just filthy. She finds dead birds and mountains of trash, but no priceless art. She tears apart the carried house.
She becomes convinced that it has to be in the attic of the main house of Frenchman's Bride.
But there's a problem, a big one. Colin the renovator has walled over the attic door during his remodeling.
It's a physical barrier to her past and to her future. She literally knows that millions of dollars are likely just 10 feet away from her.
Hmm.
But she can't get to it without taking a sledgehammer to his new wall.
Which she can't do without getting fired or, arrested.
And we have to reveal why she needs the money so desperately. Because up until this point, you, the listener, might just think, okay, she's broke, she wants to buy nice shoes again, or she wants to buy a nice house and get out of parish.
But this is the plot twist that recontextualizes every single thing she has done. It isn't revealed immediately in the source, but when it lands, it changes how you see all of her actions. The money is not for her.
It's for Delilah.
Delilah. We haven't mentioned her yet, and that's because Sugar Beth doesn't mention her to anyone in the town.
Delilah is her stepdaughter.
From the second marriage. The stuntman.
Yes, from Sizagursky. Delilah is an adult woman now, but she has significant developmental disabilities. She has the mind of a young child.
And she's in a specialized care facility.
A very, very expensive private facility. When Emmett, the third husband, died broke, the funding for Delilah's care completely evaporated. Sugar Beth is the only thing standing between Delilah and the state system.
Which would be disastrous for her.
Absolutely. So when you see Sugar Beth scrubbing Colin's toilet, when she's eating stale donuts for dinner, when she's taking the verbal abuse from the entire town, she isn't doing it for herself.
She's doing it to pay the monthly bill to keep her disabled stepdaughter safe.
It turns her from a fallen princess into a true martyr. It gives her this quiet nobility that none of these so-called good people in town possess. Winnie's worried about her pearls. Sugar Beth is worried about keeping a vulnerable young woman safe.
Does Colin know any of this?
No. She keeps it a complete secret. She refuses to use it to get sympathy. She would rather be hated than be pitied. She just bears that burden completely alone.
Which brings us to the climax of this section of the source material. The dinner party.
The ultimate social test. Colin is hosting this fancy party for his New York literary friends, his editors, his agent. He wants to show off his new, authentic Southern life.
And he insists that Sugar Beth serve at the party. He wants her dressed in black and white, passing hors d'oeuvres to the very people she used to rule over.
He even invites the mayor, Aaron Leary, a guy Sugar Beth went to high school with. He wants the visual of the former queen serving pigs in a blanket to her former subjects. It's the public shaming he has been dreaming of for 15 years.
But of course things go wrong.
Colin hired a caterer from out of town, a West Coast weasel, as the text calls him.
I love that.
And he's completely incompetent. He's breaking dishes, he's using tofu in ways that should violate the Geneva Convention. The entire party is shaping up to be a 5-star train wreck.
And Sugar Beth, despite everything, cannot stand by and watch a party fail. It's in her DNA. Her mother, Diddy Carey, raised her to be a perfect hostess.
So she steps up. She puts on the black uniform, she marches into the kitchen, and she starts fixing the mess. She effectively takes over the entire party, not really to help Colin, but because her own innate standards won't let it fail.
And that is where the source material leaves us for this section. Sugar Beth is dressed in black, ready to face the judgment of the entire town, serving food to her enemies while secretly plotting how to break into the attic to find a painting that might not even exist, all to save a stepdaughter that nobody even knows she has.
It is a powder keg, an absolute powder keg. You have the sexual tension with Colin, the unresolved hatred from the townspeople, the secret alliance she's building with Gigi, and this huge hidden motivation of Delilah. One spark, and the whole thing is going to explode.
So let's zoom out for a minute. We've unpacked the plot, but what are the big takeaways here? What is this story really telling us about social dynamics?
I think the biggest insight is about what I'd call the frozen timeline of small towns. To the people of Parrish, Sugar Beth is still 18 years old. She is frozen in amber as the villain. They are completely incapable of seeing her as a 33-year-old woman who has suffered and may be changed.
And the reverse is true, too. They still see Winnie as the poor, bullied victim, even though she is now arguably the most powerful woman in town.
Exactly. People revert to their high school roles the second they're around each other. When Colin sees Sugar Beth, he instantly becomes that insecure 22-year-old teacher again, which is why he lashes out with such force. It takes a massive shock to the system to break those old roles.
And it really questions the nature of good and bad. Sugar Beth did objectively terrible things, but she owns them. She admits it. She flat out says, I was a bitch.
Whereas the good people, Winnie, Ryan, the rest of the town, are now engaging in their own form of cruelty. They are ostracizing a starting woman. They are actively enjoying her pain. Is that justice, or is that just a different more socially acceptable kind of bullying.
It's the acceptable target phenomenon, isn't it? Society decides it's okay to abuse certain people because we feel they deserve it. But watching Colin, a man who prides himself on being evolved and intellectual, descend into this petty, cruel revenge, it's a real warning.
It suggests that if you stare into the abyss of the mean girl for too long, the abyss stares back into you. Colin is in real danger of becoming the very same kind of bully that he hated all those years ago.
And finally, the theme of fathers. Griffin Carey is the ghost that haunts this entire story.
He is the true villain of the piece. He's the one who pitted two sisters against each other for his affection. He created the scarcity mindset that made Sugar Beth so cruel and made Winnie so insecure. Everything that's happening now is just the echo of his bad parenting.
So, a final provocative thought for you, the listener. We often hold on to grudges because they feel like armor. We think, if I stay angry at this person, if I never forgive them, they can't hurt me again. But look at Colin. Look at the town of Parrish. Is that grudge actually protecting them? Or is it just rotting them from the inside out?
And then look at Sugar Beth. She let go. She has no pride left. She has no armor. And paradoxically, that makes her the strongest person in the entire story. In a strange way, she's the only one who is truly free.
That is a really powerful place to leave it. Will she find the painting? Will she get the money she so desperately needs for Delilah? And will Colin Byrne finally realize that he might be obsessed with, or even in love with, the very woman he's trying so hard to destroy?
I think we can probably guess the answers, but the journey to get there is going to be incredibly messy.
Indeed. That's it for this deep dive into Ain't She Sweet? A story that reminds us that sometimes the only way to fix the past is to burn it all down and build something new, preferably not with tofu. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading.